If you're a follower of the channel, you know two things. Number one is I sell a lot of statues. Now when I sell those statues, I typically put the video review that I originally did on the statue so buyers can take a closer look at it. Well, this was an exception, as this is already sold by the time this video launches. I went to look for my original video review of this Sideshow premium format Xforce Deadpool statue, and I couldn't find one. So I thought before I sell it off, or I guess after I sell it off, I should review the statue. The second thing you know about the channel is I make a lot of mistakes. This is always a mistake to do this because now that I'm looking at him, I really don't want to sell him. The good news is he's already sold by the time you watch this. The magic of television. As the Extreme channel is pushing towards 50,000 subscribers, these are just a few of the statues we are giving away on the journey there. If you want to know how to win one, stay tuned for later in the video. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to a review of a very old statue. I don't know how old, but I'm going to say this is probably 5 to 9 years old, and it's from Sideshow Collectibles. It is their Xforce Deadpool premium format. So let me break all that down. Premium format was their fancy term for their quarter scale line, or 1/4 scale, 4 times smaller than a real life version. Xforce is a team that Deadpool was on. He's known really well for it. I have a bunch of Xforce statues, including this Wolverine vs. Ninjas that just went on the same sale as the Deadpool. Same thing about this Domino and Wolverine diorama. And I have another Domino coming in. As I move towards retirement, I'm getting rid of more and more statues, and unfortunately that includes my entire Xforce line. Now Sideshow didn't make this as their original statue. They actually had a regular version of Deadpool with his traditional colors and a few different switch out options, but they made this variant down the road. Now the crazy thing about this, when I went and did a little bit of research for the review, this statue retailed at $360, which is so crazy because today we would be lucky if it retailed at $700. Anyway, we're going to do a review on him before I pack him up and off he goes to the new buyer. But like I said, I really like this guy, and part of me hopes he doesn't sell. But let's do it, and we'll kick it off with concept as we usually do. So first of all, Sideshow, a long time ago, their OG or original gangster statues, specifically with the X-Men, they were making these museum-style bases. And what's cool about it is, on the top of them, they have an X. Now, while this isn't necessarily X-Men, it's X-Force, an offshoot from that. So I like that they stayed with the pattern, even though I'm not a fan of these museum-style bases. Deadpool is in a museum-style pose in his X-Force outfit. So instead of your traditional red and black, it is the gray and black. He's standing there kind of posing for a picture, looking incredibly badass. He has weapons all over him, as he traditionally does. And I've said this recently before in a review, this is almost a Kiss statue. Keep it stupid simple. And they did, and I think it works really well. Now, while I don't think it encompasses Deadpool completely, for example, check out the review of this Deadpool statue I have, very dynamic. It still does a good job, and I think it's a solid concept. It's a 3 out of 5 for me. And as a reminder, on the extreme scale, 3 out of 5 is good. You get what you pay for. Design's going to be a little bit different because I unboxed him so long ago. I'm not going to show the unboxing, but we'll do the traditional stuff. We'll talk about dimensions. Nice thing is these older statues don't take up much of a footprint. You're about a 9-inch diameter on the base, and he is just under 18.5 inches high or so. Now, this particular statue, they actually made 1,500, which was a large edition size at the time for a variant. And in all honesty, it kind of still is. And while I don't remember all the different pieces, I know his head comes off, I know his hands come off, and that may be the extent of it. Another thing we're going to look at during paint and sculpt is the use of what we call mixed media or fabric instead of sculpt in a lot of places with this. But overall, not a lot to the design. Again, I think it's a 3 out of 5. Nothing is wrong with it. It's not very elaborate, so it wasn't really hard to do. Paint and sculpt. Now, I could grade this based off today's standards, or I could base it off the standards from, 5+ years ago. I'm going to kind of grade it off the standards from 5+ years ago, because let's face it, this is my channel, so I can make up the rules. What's really crazy about some of these old Sideshow pieces, how they still hold up with the paint and sculpt. So, starting at the base, a museum base. Again, they were doing this entire line. This was like their OG X-Men line, and obviously it's X for X-Force. Museum base. Now, I think if you get all matching ones, it looks good. And regarding the paint and sculpt, it's fine. It's clean. I do like the shine that's on it compared to the dull outer rim over here. And you would think there's too much gray. Now this gray that's on Deadpool's suit, I do have under bright lights, so it's a little bit darker normally, but I really like it. I think it's a good transition from the base. Before we look at that though, the swords are metal, and this is a while back. I don't know why they don't continue doing that. So I think it really adds some poppiness, if you will, and boldness to the statue. Now, while there is an element of mixed media, so we mean fabric from the pouches here, the straps, and even where his holsters are going in right here, that is all mixed media. It looks really good. You almost can't tell what's mixed media and what's fabric, and I really like that. What's mixed media and what's fabric? What's mixed media and what's sculpt? But a lot of it is sculpt. I got these buckles down here on the shoes, and what I really like about the outfit is they show all the creases and folds throughout, whether it's the contours of his muscles or the position he's standing in, which is that museum static pose. So really nice. I think the anatomy is fantastic. They didn't overdo his junk. Really buff around the chest area. You can see his abdominals. And I believe this is mixed media as well. Yeah, this whole front, although this is metal in the middle here, the Deadpool symbol and the Xforce symbol, it is part of that whole mixed media aspect. And it's great that it's not deteriorating after all these years. I think the hood here is fantastic. You can see his ears behind there and how the classic dollop on the back, I always call it. So they really nailed it. It's always a big danger looking at these when I want to sell them and reviewing them when I'm going to sell them, because they are fantastic looking pieces and just really well. And the black, I know there's only one color of black, but it seems like a dark gray instead of a black. It complements everything else really well. The red eyes, beady staring at you, have a gloss to them. The sheaths to his swords on the back look fantastic too. Just really well done. Not a lot to look at for this guy, but even diving into the mixed media and the hilt, the handle of the large knife he has there looks fantastic. The pouches are great. Again, no deterioration over time. Now that's the cool thing is, you know, like Prime 1 is really good at sculpting pouches. They're probably the best at that, but Sideshow here just went ahead and put on real pouches, which I think is awesome. Logo on his hand, even the wraps around the katana, the hilt of the katana look good. I'd say that's more of America's ass than the captain. Really well done though. I like this guy a lot. If I was collecting X-Force, this would be a no-brainer. Let's start with the sculpt. I think it's really good. I think it's a 4 out of 5 on the sculpt. Really impressed. Like I said, I love the clothing, the anatomy. They did a fantastic job. The paint, I just see a little bit of bleed over now that I missed when we were going over it. But other than that, I think it's also really good. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 4 out of 5 based off of standards from 5+ years ago. I might even be able to escalate the sculpt to a 5 out of 5, but we can't go back in time, Diane. Now, the next category we always talk about is value. Hard to value this because it's so old. I usually value stuff based off the retail price. $3.59 for this would be a 5 out of 5. That'd be an absolute steal. Going rate, I'm not sure what it is. I put him on the for sale video that hasn't launched when I'm filming this for $500, I believe. So again, don't really know the value, but it's a very cool piece. And to my knowledge, the only other X-Force Deadpool pieces, I think XM has one, and then there's a bunch of customs, but not a lot of options. It'll be interesting to see if X-Force is utilized in the MCU with the new Deadpool 3 movie. I don't know. I know it was in Deadpool 2, which I'm a big fan of the Deadpool movies, not only Ryan Reynolds as the character. I like how they kind of do their own thing, but there are some ties to the comics. Anyway, so does he have the X Factor? Well, he's an X-Force statue. He's not a 5 out of 5, but I really like him. I think he's a solid 4 out of 5. You know, and a lot of times I've been accused of, hey, you hype up a statue before you sell it. Remember, this video is launching after I sold it. So I'm just giving my honest opinion for it. But I really like this. I think it's a solid one. Would love one day to see the original one, the normal costume, while it's almost identical other than an exclusive chicken switch out, which shows a little bit of Deadpool's personality. I think that would have drove the concept a little bit higher for this. It's pretty cool. But I appreciate you guys tuning in, especially for such an older piece. It shows you're really here to support the channel. So hopefully you can throw a comment, and hopefully you're one of the ones that wins the statue giveaway. We're getting really close to 30,000 subs. And I've been like this with my hands the whole time, so I don't scratch myself. Recently taught my son what a taint is. My wife's really mad at me. We will be giving all of these statues away, plus additional ones at every 5,000 subscriber milestone. To win one of these statues, all you have to do is make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, you've hit that bell notification, and then just drop a comment below. Every 5,000 subscriber milestone, we are going to do a random drawing and pick a random comment and give one of these statues away, plus some additional ones I'm not showing right now. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. Hey, thank you for tuning in. Again, a like really goes a long way. Please hit that. I really appreciate you guys. If you like stuff like this, new and old, make sure you're subbed. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.